As a teacher, have you struggled with getting your students' attention and keeping them engaged? Certainly all teachers have at some point. One way to increase student engagement is to create a situation where your lessons are self-driven and captivate students so that you as the teacher can become the coach in the classroom. This allows you to be more focused on those students who directly need your help. Also, if done correctly, this process can allow for better differentiated instructions to your students. In this presentation, I'm going to introduce you to one of the newer websites that teachers can use as part of this process. That site is called DeckToys. All right, so when you start your first DeckToy, you can log on with your Gmail, and it's free to log on. You have a limited number of decks that you can create if it's free, and there are some restrictions of what you can do with the decks. If you pay a monthly subscription, you get all of the options that you want. You can see that there are some samples. These you can preview so you can see what theirs look like. There's also a teacher walkthrough to try to help you do that. There's also a help menu, which you can go to that can help you with getting started and how to do all of the things that you need to do. I have a completed deck here, which I'm going to show you in a basic way how I completed it. So I started with the necessary items that I thought I would need, and I created a Word document that had some of the things. This doesn't include everything, but some of the things. So some of the videos I was going to use, some of the questions, a few things that I needed. And then I also have my vocabulary that I needed to use. And I also have a PowerPoint, which I will use as part of this process. So to get started, you essentially go to Edit Deck, and this is the deck building page. And basically, you are going to create kind of a path, and that's this whole idea of creating an adventure. You can edit all kinds of different things, and the first thing you probably want to do is what is your background going to look like? And you can do an image. That is up to you deciding on which image you think is appropriate. I decided to create a kind of a game board. So this is sort of like a Monopoly game board, and that's the way I decided to try it. So it does feel more like a game in that sense. And just the first thing you want to do is have a signpost. That's essentially your start and your finish, or maybe a branching, depending on how it works. So you can click and drag that over, and you can edit this. Simply put in here start, and then you can also click on it and you can get the information. You can add information here, so you can say something like, you will start your adventure here, something like that. And you might correct this to work with your theme. In this case, my theme is the process of cell division or mitosis, so I did that. So then you might see these lines. Each of these lines then is a pathway. So you can see the pathways. You can choose all kinds of different ways. In this case, I created pathways that were essentially going to take the kid around like the typical Monopoly board. So then the next important thing is the slide activities. So these slide activities can be added anywhere, and they can give you all kinds of different opportunities to add media. So for example, you can add things like images, you can upload PDFs, you can embed different videos and things like that. So one of the things that I did was I chose to do a video. So for example, I went to my references here and I chose my link, and then I can insert media, but it's in this case for video, it's better to do embed video. and I simply put in the link, and depending on if you want the whole video or parts of it, you can set up the time, but I'm going to just go ahead and do the whole thing. And there it is. And my video is embedded to my deck. And then from here, I'm essentially going to create a question based on this video that once the student has watched it, they're going to have to answer it. And if you see here, the answer submission is required. So if they don't put in an answer, they can't move to the next step. So then from here, I just click back and then back to my deck. And then here, I can type in introduction. And then this would be my first slide activity. Another example of adding or inserting media would be to insert a PowerPoint. So I can just click here to insert media, and I can choose how I want to do that, Google Drive, and etc. I'm going to upload some or a PowerPoint. And we'll convert that. And as you see, you've got the PowerPoint slides here. And again, you can add or subtract slides here. You can also put in questions here. This is just another option for media. Then from there, basically what you have are study sets. And study sets basically are the kind of activities that students would do depending on which choice you have for them. So for example, they have things like word wheels, rockets, word attack, and so on. So in order to do these though, the first thing you need to do is you need to add your study sets. So I've got to add to my study sets here. So I'm going to click import from Excel, and notice you can do it from Quizlet. There are other choices. I'm just going to do it from Excel, and or you could do it from a Google Sheet typically. And I click create, and then I go to my Excel document, and I choose all of the, I have two columns here, and I choose the words and their definitions, and I copy, and I delete this and put in paste, and it will auto detect that. And notice down here now I have a series of words and their definitions. And if I had images that went with those, I can add those images as well. And notice it says here key concepts 1. I'm going to change this to mitosis and save that so that I know what my set is. Once back on the deck, I can now, when I go to my study set and I choose, for example, in this case I had maze, in this case I have match, I'm just going to change this one, and notice here it says 3D samples. That's basics that's already there. So I'm going to go to mitosis and choose mine. And then the game part of this relates to the different terms and their answers. So I can choose any of these. I'm going to choose, for example, word search and click save. And then I'm going to go here to match, and I've got matching, I can save. So I can add these along as I go, and I have lots of these, lots of choices for these. So I would continue to build these activities, whether they be study set activities or slide activities, to incorporate the parts of the lesson that I wanted to give the student or reinforce. And the student would be required to go to each one, pass each one before they get to the next, and so on down the line. Now I'm going to show you the completed deck. This deck, again, was based on the theme of mitosis or cell division. You can see there are several different slide activities. There are multiple different study set activities. And in each one of these, they have different tasks, different points, different activities to do. There's even a branching process that you can create. And really, this is a simplistic deck. There are lots of little things that you can do that I didn't get to show you, but there's so much to this that you can create all kinds of learning adventures. And again, it is a activity that students can go through on their own, and you can just be the teacher coach as they go through. Once you get your deck created, you're going to want to share it. And the way you do that, go here. DeckToys has its own classroom situation, but really it's just easier to share. And it says share with other teachers. But when you click here, you can go through a process to share just a link, and you can share that link to students in Google Classroom. You can also preview your deck so you can see what it looks like. And you can also, when you have the full version, as you go along, you can actually watch students go through the deck as in real time, and you can even change the deck in real time if you want. So DeckToys has multiple different pathways and options and fun activities for students to get through or go through a lesson.